The reason that those corporations put the pressure on Indiana and Arkansas was because the militant gay community put the pressure on them.
Shut up! So when gays want equality, it's militancy. And when Christians want to deny service, it's freedom.
Hello, welcome or welcome back to Life on the Fringe. Today we are going to be talking about the gay agenda. My name is Francesca and I identify as a cisgender woman, bisexual woman. I think it's more useful to think of the gay agenda as where you want LGBT rights to go in the future. And so everyone kind of has their own gay agenda. Myself, I want more rights for people in the LGBTQ plus community, and that's my agenda, equality. That's what I'm pushing for, that's what I'm advocating for, that's what I will advocate for. That's my agenda as an LGBTQ plus person. It's not to convert anybody to being LGBTQ plus that isn't, but it is to be a representative and to help people who might be unsafe coming out become in a more safe environment where they can come out, and therefore we could see more LGBTQ plus people in the future who are out because it's safer for them to come out. But that doesn't mean that we're trying to convince people to join our ranks. So recently, during the Trump administration, probably much to Pence and Trump's chagrin, we did have a Supreme Court ruling that supported LGBTQ plus people. In fact, it is that ruling that is the reason I came out on my private pages. Previously, I had been living my out and proud life here on the East Coast, where it is safe to do so, but I was not in my home state of Indiana because I felt that it wasn't safe and it was still legal and very common to discriminate employment opportunities based on sexual orientation.
It remains legal in most of Indiana to fire someone because they're gay.
So I kept it to myself. And I just want to read what I wrote upon hearing the outcome of that Supreme Court case, and then a few comments I got about that Supreme Court case. So here we go. So the Supreme Court case I'm talking about is Bostock v. Clayton County. I'm going to be reading, so I'm going to be looking over here. That's why. I'm not ignoring you. When I was in high school, Mike Pence wanted to pass a bill allowing businesses not to serve me and other LGBTQ plus people. We've discussed this. Well, the measure did not pass until this recent Supreme Court case, it was still legal to not hire someone, to fire someone, or to harass someone for being LGBT plus in Indiana and in many other states. The fact that I could be passed on or fired for my sexual orientation, bisexual, impacted my ability to advocate for myself inside of and outside of the workplace. One summer, between college semesters, I came home for an internship. My coworkers used to talk and make fun of the F words, and were openly disgusted by gay marriage and same-sex relations. I had to sit there and defend my existence and the cause as an ally rather than as myself a bisexual woman. As I said, prior to the recent Supreme Court ruling, it was legal for employers to fire you for being LGBT+. My job earnings were going towards college, and I was so afraid of being fired that I couldn't complain to higher-ups. Not that it would have mattered, because my fellow interns' bosses were some of the people making those remarks. My boss encouraged me not to go into the break room because I was the only girl there, and the topics discussed were often misogynistic, graphic, and crude, and I was seen as too pure. And yet, those weren't the reasons that I felt I was not welcome in the space. I didn't feel welcome because of the near constant homophobic remarks. Men accusing each other of being gay or acting gay, men getting super defensive about being straight, as if being gay was the worst thing in the world. And really, if I had $1 for every time someone said the F word, I wouldn't have needed the internship in the first place. Of course, in one-on-one conversations with my fellow interns, I tried to have productive conversations around the issues, but my fear of verbal and physical pushback limited the amount I was able to convey, and the law protected them and not me. After college, during the job application process, coming out was a choice of unemployment and employment. While Pennsylvania had some minor protections for LGBT plus teachers, it did not have them all. Indiana had none. If I ever wanted to move home, I could not come out because my future Indiana employers might find out. Teachers have been fired simply for being photographed at Pride. I believe this court case is of extreme importance because it allows those who, like me, are going to be on the job market in conservative states to finally have the ability to participate in rallies, groups, and campaigns publicly without the fear of being photographed or seen in the background of a news clip and being fired as a result. It means that I can publicly support LGBT plus causes as myself rather than as an ally without having to consider my student loans and need for rent money. We still have a long way to go, and I have no delusions that this case will change workplace culture overnight or the homophobic falsehoods parents and principals have about LGBT plus teachers. But at least I hope that now people will have the ability to live openly and authentically without having to weigh the costs and benefits of finances versus living our truth. The post I wanted to read from my personal Facebook account was about the importance of BiVisibility. Post, as well as the comments, some of the comments that I got in response to this post, which were really, not really comments, but subtweets from family members that basically said, you know, that you're shoving it down our throats. So, here I am on YouTube sharing my gay agenda, shoving it down your throat. Because the anti-gay agenda has been shoved down mine for my entire life. So, I start the post. Disclaimer. This post is not arguing that everyone should come out. There are instances where it is not safe for people to come out. Rather, this is a response to people who would argue that sexual identities should not be broadcasted and shoved down our throats. The importance of BiVisibility. 1. The more bisexual people who are out, the more likely everyone is to know someone who is bi. Those people may then be more inclined to become informed on LGBTQ plus issues. Pause there for a second. I have seen this to be true in my own life. Coming out as bi has helped me to help family members of mine learn more about the issue through me, who were maybe on the fence or just uninformed before, or who even were liberal but just didn't know a lot about LGBTQ plus issues to begin with. Again, everybody, no matter where you're starting from, has more to learn. I have more to learn about the gay community and what it needs and what everybody needs. I mean, I only know my own experience, and I can't even speak for all bisexuals. I'm just speaking from my experience as a bisexual. Anyhow, number 2. It increases representation in a time where bi erasure is common. Because many people who are bi are in monogamous relationships, they are wrongfully categorized into being gay or straight. These labels mask the past and present experiences of people who are bi. So for me, the way this works is that I am in a relationship with Stan. We're married. And one of the comments on a different post of mine was a genuine question. I have no problems with genuine questions about, can you be bisexual if you're married? I think that's a valid question. It's a question a lot of people have. I wasn't upset at the question at all. And the answer is yes. Getting married doesn't change who you're attracted to overall. Just like getting married to one guy wouldn't mean that you're never attracted to all guys, any guy ever again. Me being married to Stan doesn't mean that I'm not attracted to the whole spectrum of people that I was attracted to before. Fun fact, bisexuality does not just mean men and women, it just means more than one gender. So, for me, it would mean more of the whole, spectrum. Anyhow, 3, discussing bisexuality repeatedly over a lifetime counters the myth that bisexuality is a phase you grow out of. 4, the more bisexual people who are out, the less likely stereotypes will persist. We're a diverse group of people with diverse interests, hobbies, styles, relationship preferences, and experiences, which I just talked about. 5, positive representation in the media shows bisexual youth that it is okay. The Human Rights Commission, supporting and caring for our bisexual youth, report found that, quote, only 5% of bisexual youth reported being very happy, compared to 21% of non-LGBT youth surveyed, end quote. Additionally, quote, the survey also revealed startling stories of harassment, exclusion, and isolation among bisexual youth, end quote. 6. By being out, I can be a resource for LGBTQ plus people who are afraid to come out to non-LGBTQ plus people. Quote, only 44% of bi youth said they have an adult they can turn to, compared with 54% of lesbian and gay youth, and 79% of non-LGBTQ respondents. So this is an area that is particular to bisexuality, where it's important to have bi representatives that are not erased. And not erased means being visible, which means, to many people, shoving it down our throats. 7. Bisexuality is stigmatized both outside of and inside of LGBTQ plus spaces. Again, both sides often have the stereotype of picking a side. The Rose and Rosie video I will show here about the Bisexy series goes into that in a lot more detail, so I'm not going to go into detail here, but if you want to check those out, I will show you that little clip and scrolly thing now. So, when we're talking about bi erasure, I think it's important that not only do we talk about famous people like Lady Gaga, but also about bi erasure from the LGBTQ plus community itself, and also just how it affects people every day. So we'll be talking about this more in a minute, but if you want more information, I would highly recommend checking out the Bisexy series from Rose and Rosie's vlogs, or just Rose and Rosie. And these are some of the titles. How do you know you're bisexual? The number of times I've had to answer that question is too many, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. But here, like this title, she had doubts about me, kind of dealing with the stereotypes of being bisexual, even from Rose, a lesbian, within the LGBTQ plus community. So I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done, not just outside of the LGBTQ plus community, but also inside of the LGBTQ plus community. And not just with bisexuals, although that's, my perspective, it's also true of dealing with transgender issues. So I just think we all have a ways to go, and that's kind of where I see the, part of the gay agenda going on the individual level is continuously learning more about the community, spreading awareness about the community, and advocating for the community. And that's at the individual level. Whether you're inside or outside of the LGBTQ plus community, you can always learn more, be better, be more informed, and be more tolerant and understanding. 8. 40% of bisexual people have considered or attempted suicide and have double the rate of depression of heterosexual people. These issues are even more prevalent for people who are transgender and bisexual. BiVisibility can help shed a light on these important issues. And then I linked, my article and such. Now, again, to this, I got a number of subtweeted Facebooks, less comments, more subtweets, about, shoving it down our throats. So, if I haven't already, I'll include the Jamie Dodger response here to that.
I don't hate LGBT, I just think they should stop shoving it down our throats. So you won't mind if this character is gay. Honestly, people who say like, oh, I don't mind gay people, I just don't want it in my face all the time. That actually translates as, oh, I don't like gay people, but I can pretend it's okay as long as I never have to see, interact, or pay attention to them in my life. And
see, those who are defending this sort of law go very far out of their way to say how it's not discriminatory towards anybody, especially gay people. They've got nothing against gay people. If a KKK member comes in and says, I want a birthday cake made to celebrate the birth of the KKK, should a baker, regardless of the color of their skin, be able to say, I am not going to make that cake? I would think I would give the same right to a Jewish baker to not have to put a swastika on a bill. This couple is to Christian business as these folks are to everyone else. Is that what you're saying? I'm not discriminating. I have nothing against gay people. I'm just saying, for some Christians, catering an elderly lesbian wedding is like making a Jew slow dance with Hitler. That's all I'm saying. Do you see how up that is?
Less than 2 hours after after Trump was sworn into office, all mentions of LGBTQ plus issues were removed from the White House website. Now, this one is particularly interesting because we can have a direct comparison to President Biden's changes to the White House website. One of which is to, when you're submitting, like you want to write in to the White House about an issue you care about, adding more pronouns. So that would be a plus to many people in the LGBTQ plus community. So that would be a direct contrast between these two presidencies, and how they're willing to, what they're willing to do. And there are some people who I've seen when they've read that in the comments of these articles and Facebook posts, basically saying, well, who cares about this? It should be covered in real, what's real news? It's like, yeah, but you also supported a guy who made dramatic changes to the White House website 4 years ago. So let's not pretend that you didn't care then, but now we shouldn't care. So the Trump's Housing and Urban Development Department in 2017, led by Ben Carson, withdrew a requirement for emergency shelters receiving HUD funding to post information about LGBTQ plus people's rights to access shelter safely and in accordance with their gender identity. And the second notice withdrew critical data collection about how many homeless youth are there that are LGBTQ. The census, again, not collecting any data on LGBTQ plus people. Why does this matter? Well, being able to know how many people there are shows how much funding we should be putting towards these issues. Now, obviously, even if it's just one person, you know, it's important, but when you're talking about a large population, the whole umbrella, obviously it's, you know, worth, you know, maybe seeing what can we do to help this large group of people in our country. But if we don't know how many there are, then we can just continue to say it's a small group of people, and we don't need to worry about them because they are, you know, so small over there. Don't need to collect data on it. Additionally, it, you know, then becomes harder for agencies to reach out to LGBTQ plus people and provide direct assistance to them. Additionally, Biden revoked Mr. Trump's executive order limiting the ability of federal agencies and contractors and other institutions to hold diversity and inclusion training. Isn't that crazy that had to be done? You know, or really undone. Why wouldn't we want that training? As a government, we should be learning about everybody and being inclusive, because the government's supposed to serve everybody. And how do you serve everybody if you don't know how to be inclusive to everybody? So that was about race and LGBTQ plus.
Yes, in LGBTQT, why did they change the order? For straight, let's come together to be totally inclusive. Women of Eve have joined together across the country in support of asking the LGBTQT community. Days without cis nonsense. 0. No, straight does not belong in the LGBT plus community. I don't have the will to explain why.
Because again, everything that I've mentioned so far, all of these policies don't affect straight people. Except for potentially their ability to discriminate against LGBTQ plus people. So that's why they're not included in the acronym. And why, you know, things like Pride exist to, you know, emphasize the things that still need changing and the progress that has been made. Because boy, is there progress to be made. But again, this is for equality. You can see how this, you know, if you're straight, doesn't really affect you because it's about equality and making, you know, people who are LGBTQ plus get the same things that you already got. It's not taking them away from you. So that's why, again, you are not in the acronym. Going back to the people who want us to not talk about these issues, I feel like if you are one of those people and you're saying that you have no issue with gay people, I think you need to really dig deep and see if that's actually true or not. Because, for example, when I posted my coming out post about the workplace, it was not just a I'm bi post. That is not shaming anybody who posts like just a post saying their sexual orientation or gender identity. No shade there at all. But that was not how I chose to come out. And still, even though I was talking about my identity in the context of the recent Supreme Court case, a policy issue, I was being subtweeted about how it's being shoved down their throats. I think that just the fact that you know people and you aren't actively hating on them is not enough to count as an ally. Allies are people who actively do something to advance the cause of a community. Anyhow, so BiVisibility. Here we are. If this video was helpful to you, give it a thumbs up. If you disagree with something that I said, please leave it down below. This is a discussion. I know it doesn't feel like that because I'm just talking and then you don't get to talk back, but I do read all of my comments and I reply to most of them. So I try to reply to all of them. So it is a discussion, and yeah, if you want to see more content, not all of it is LGBTQ. It's not the focus of my channel, but I think it's still good to have me be visible as a bisexual person doing not necessarily queer things, to kind of show that, hey, we're just kind of like everybody else. You know, I'm bad at cooking. I like my hamsters. I decorate for Christmas. You know, just content that is like everybody else's content. But, hey, she's bi. Never knew. Now we know. Okay. Representation. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. Also, if you're looking for more queer content, because as I said, it's not something I focus on all the time, I have a couple recommendations for channels. Obviously, Jamie Dodger, who I showed in this clip, Rose and Rosie, who I've showed and pretty much are the queens of the gay community. And also, I would recommend Mac Does It, who makes hilarious queer content that I just enjoy immensely. So those would be my recommendations. Obviously there's more. Another couple that I started watching recently, a British couple. Rose and Rosie are British. Jamie Dodger is British. Mac Does It is American. Why am I watching so many British gay people? The other British channel is Jessica Kellengren Fozard. And she also talks about disability awareness. So those are my recommendations. Feel free to check them out if you're looking for more queer content. Most of all, I hope that wherever you stand on LGBTQ+ issues, I hope you have a wonderful day and that we can work together to discuss these issues civilly and in a fact-based way. Have a wonderful week. Bye. Get it? Bye, because bye, 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 bye.